The number one rule of good hair is that less is more. If you're spending a ton of time on your hair, washing it, styling it, applying products to it, it's not what you want to do. That's way too much effort to be putting into your hair, and you know that you shouldn't be washing your hair all the time anyway. So in other words, you're putting in all this time and all this effort to make your hair worse. Let's not do that. Going 3 to 5 days between washes and styling is so much better for your hair, and it saves you a ton of time and product. But the problem is, if you aren't styling your hair every day, how do you get it to look good in the morning in a way that doesn't take very long and doesn't damage your hair by touching it up with heat? And the answer is, it's actually really easy. It takes less than 2 minutes and requires 0 hair tools. Let's get into it. If you don't know me, my name is Chris. I own a hair salon called Live Love Locks, where we test out products and bring the best ones to you. I make these videos because way too many people struggle with their hair, and I don't want you to be one of them. You've probably guessed that I don't do a ton with my own hair in the morning, so most of this routine comes from my salon co-founder, Leslie. I usually do her hair for her, but I'm pretty busy, so I'm not always available to do it whenever she wants me to. That means she's had to get really good at preserving her style and making it last up until I'm free to do her hair again. So the routine that I'm about to give you is a result of years of testing by Leslie in the extreme humidity of Florida. I've given this to a bunch of clients and they all love it, so I have a feeling you're gonna love it too. To really get the most out of this routine, you need to have a couple things in place, and the first one is that you obviously need to be able to go more than 1 day between washes. But I know there's a lot of people who are still just starting their hair journey and are really struggling to go more than a day between washes, so I have a video that I highly recommend you watch. Shampooing your hair sounds really easy and basic. We've been doing it our entire lives, but it's not. There's actually a lot of tips and tricks that can keep your hair clean for much longer. So if you can't go at least 3 days between washes, I really recommend you watch this video right up here. Going an extra 2 days between washes makes your life so much easier, and the longer you can go between washes, the more you'll get out of this routine and the healthier your hair will be. We're also trying to avoid any heat in this routine. Using a curling iron, a blow dryer, a blow dry brush, a flat iron, any of those things, using them daily is a really, really bad idea. To stay healthy, your hair needs a break from heat. You want to wait at least 3 days before you use heat on your hair again. And at first, if you touch it up every day, it may seem okay, but I promise you, the heat and the damage will catch up with you if you do it every day, and you'll be very sad when you look at your hair. One quick final note, I said that you want to wait at least 3 days before using heat on your hair again. That means that your style, however you style it, needs to last you 3 days. So if you struggle with that, check out one of these videos up here. I have one for blow drying, I have one for flat ironing, and I have one for curls. All right, so let's get into it. One of the major concepts here is you want to make the products do the work for you. Instead of you putting in all the effort and you doing everything, you're going to let the products do the work for you. But it's very important when you hear me say that I do not mean to load your hair up with products. That's not what I mean at all. You want to use the minimum amount of products possible to get the result that you want. Remember what I said earlier, less is more. Do not load your hair up with products. What we do is use only the products that we actually need and nothing that we don't need. We're also using the lightest possible versions of the products that we can find to make the hair stay fresh and light. The least amount of products possible to get the result that we want. 90% of your products should go on while you're styling. So if you're not familiar with which ones to use and which ones are the best, you can check the tutorials. I'll link them in the description for each thing. Flat ironing, blow drying, and curling iron. For all my air dryers out there, you need to know that air dried hair does not stay clean as long. So if you are one of those people who's air drying right now, I would ask you to consider using at least a blow dry brush just to seal the hair, get it nice and shiny. You're not actually putting in much extra time or much extra effort because you're saving time later by not having to wash it as often. For this routine, you only need 2 products. You probably already have them, but the first product is dry shampoo. So when you get out of bed in the morning, you go up to your mirror and you start this routine, you're not going to blindly use dry shampoo. You're only going to use it if your hair is actually oily. If it's not, you can just skip it. A quick note on dry shampoo is that a lot of people like to use this before their hair actually gets dirty, and that's not how I recommend you use it. The problem is if you put it in before, you don't know how dirty your hair is going to actually be. So it's really easy to use too much. And like I said earlier, less is more. If you use too much of this, you're going to A, waste it, but you're also B, going to wear your hair down and make it feel gross. Like we said earlier, you were trying to use the least amount of products possible to get the results that you want. So knowing that, the question is then, how do you know if you actually need to use this in the morning? How do you know if your hair is dirty enough to use dry shampoo? And this is really complicated, so make sure you're paying attention. All you're going to do is put your fingers on your scalp, go like this, and then feel it and see how it feels. That's it. It's really not that hard to tell if you know what you're looking for. Clean hair obviously will not feel oily and it will glide in whatever direction you want it to. If it's dirty and oily, it'll get kind of clumpy and you'll be able to feel it's kind of gunky and not going in the direction that you want it to. If you have fine hair, you'll probably need to use dry shampoo on day 2. If you have medium hair, probably also day 2, maybe 3. And if you have coarse hair, you're probably gonna be able to wait until day 3 to use it. Now, the way you use this actually is really, really important. It's easy to use it wrong because there's really no other product that you apply like this. I get a ton of people saying that dry shampoo gives their hair a bad texture or that it leaves like a film of residue, white residue on their scalp, and both of those things are only from using it wrong. The first rule of dry shampoo is you only use it on your roots and your scalp. It's just like regular shampoo where you don't use it on the length of your hair. You only use it on your scalp because that's where the actual oil is. The length of your hair never produces oil because it's dead. It can't do that. So if you're using dry shampoo all over your hair and the length of your hair, you're gonna get really bad results and it is going to feel weird because you only want it on your scalp. What you're gonna do is you're gonna make a little part in your hair, pull the hair apart, and then spray the dry shampoo in there. And I say focus on the scalp, and you should, but it's impossible not to get a little bit of dry shampoo on your hair. That's totally fine. Don't worry about it. Just make sure it's like in the general area of being close to your scalp. Another really important thing is when you're using your dry shampoo, you don't want to spray it up close. You want to have it at least a foot away so you get a fine mist. If you have it really tight and up close, it's going to be way too much product in exactly one place, and that's when you get that dusty look where you just have too much in one area. There's not enough oil to absorb it. Knowing that, you're just going to continue all over your head, making parts all over your hair and spraying it in there, making sure it's a foot away from your head. After you've applied it all over your head, especially the top back, don't forget about the top back because that's usually the dirtiest part of your hair. After that, you're gonna let it sit for a second and then you're gonna rub it in with your fingertips. The reason for that is you wanna make sure that the oil and the dry shampoo actually mix so the oil is neutralized. Mixing them together also makes all the white powder, the white dust, go completely away. Once it hits that oil, it goes completely transparent, neutralizes the oil. If you still have any white dust or residue at this point, you either use too much or you use a really bad brand of dry shampoo. My 2 favorite brands of dry shampoo is Pulp Riot's Berlin and Morocco's dry shampoo. Berlin is amazing for fine and medium hair because it's super light. Fine and medium hair tends to get weighed down really, really easily, but with this, you'll never even know it's in your hair. Your hair will feel so much better after you use it, not heavier. If you have coarse hair, I really recommend you use Morocco's dry shampoo. This actually has a little bit of oil in it, which is great for coarse hair. It's not oil like dirty oil from your scalp. It's oil like as in styling oil, which is great for making it smooth and shiny, but this is too much for fine and medium hair. The oil tends to weigh it down. So great for coarse, stay away fine and medium hair. Do not use this, only coarse hair. The next thing you're gonna do is brush your hair out with a wet brush or something very similar to a wet brush. But you wanna be careful. You don't wanna go through your hair a million times. If you have curls, it's gonna knock the curls right out if you do it too many times. All you really wanna do is get the tangles out. You wanna use a wet brush because it's super gentle on your hair and it also polishes it up. It sounds weird, but this will actually make your hair shinier and bring your look together. All the flyaways will kind of go away and lay down when you use this. Not all of them, but a lot of them. The last step is to put some oil on your hair. And I really hesitated putting this in this video because I know some people are gonna use way too much and ruin their style by weighing it down with a ton of oil. I usually only say to use oil on days that you wash or if your ends are starting to look a little dry. But you guys are advanced now. You've seen a lot of my videos, so I'm gonna trust that you can do the advanced class. The brush should have already helped a lot to kind of bring your style together and polish it up, but oil will really bring it to the next level. So that's why we use this on top of the brush. The key to doing this is using a very, very, very little amount. And I say to use very little, even on wash days, but the truth is you wanna use even less than wash days. On wash days, the oil that was in your hair got stripped out, so you need to apply it to your hair again. But here's the thing, you didn't wash your hair right before this routine, so you're going to use even less oil this time. You're only trying to coat the hair to polish it up. You're not actually restoring any moisture. You're only going for the shine. Please take me seriously when I say not to use that much. You need to experiment a little bit to figure out exactly how much you need depending on the length of your hair and how much hair you have, but start with less and then ramp it up. Don't start with a whole bunch and then bring it down. Try out different amounts. Use a little bit more at a time to figure out what works for you. So let's do a quick recap of the whole routine. First, you're going to use dry shampoo, but only if you need to. You know how to figure out whether your hair is clean or dirty. Only use it if you need to. Don't just put it in there just because. The second step is you're going to brush your hair out with the wet brush or something very similar. Don't do it too many times. Don't ruin your style. Only do it enough times to get the tangles out. And then the last and final thing you're going to do is use your hair oil. This is the cherry on top. Don't use too much. Use a very little. Don't go crazy with this. I'll link my favorite dry shampoos and hair oils in the description below. If you're not sure which one is right for you, you should get my recommended product list. It has a hair type test. You can take the quiz, find out exactly what your hair type is and exactly which products are best for you. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. I love talking to you guys. I make these videos for you guys, not for myself. So please interact with me, talk to me. If you have any questions, let me know.